My name is Ava Russell, and I am from Honey Grove, Texas. I was born and raised in Honey Grove. I have lived here my entire life. I went to school here, and I still currently live here. Teaching has always been, or kids have always been, a really big part of my life. I've always really enjoyed being around children and caring for them, and that started at a very young age. My little brother is 7 years younger than me, so I was kind of like a mommy to him. I love to take care of him and play with him. Fresh out of high school, I went to college, and my first real job was at a daycare. And I loved it. It was a great job, and it really showed me that I loved kids, and I really enjoyed it, and it was a very rewarding job. I initially went to college for nursing, but I always kind of had this tug, like maybe I want to teach, but I wasn't 100% sure. So I did nursing for a semester at UT Tyler and quickly decided it was not for me, and I changed my major to early ed, but then I decided to move back home. So after I moved back home, I took a semester off, which became multiple semesters off. But once I did go back to school, I went back to PJC, Paris Junior College, and continued my early ed and got my associate's degree in early childhood education. So like I said, my first job was at a daycare in Tyler, and then when I moved back, I kind of worked as a server for a little bit while I was going to school, and then I found a daycare in Paris that I worked at, and I loved that job as well. I started with the little infants, and then I moved up to the 1 to 2 year olds, and at this point I still had no experience with curriculum or anything. It was just kind of a keep them alive, play with them, you know. So I didn't realize that there was a whole other world out there. So that daycare actually ended up closing, and there were several families that were out of childcare and couldn't find anything. So I decided to start keeping children in my home. So I had my own little in-home daycare. I loved that as well. I got to really create some lifelong bonds with parents, not only the kids, but also their parents. And aside from that, I've also always babysat, like probably from the age of 14, 15, I've babysat around here for family and friends and stuff. And it was just kind of like a natural thing. Like, kids always tended to come to me and feel safe with me and stuff. So I did the in-home daycare for a little bit, and then I decided that I wanted to go back to school. So I started nannying while going to school online for my bachelor's, and I was a nanny for a little bit. I liked that as well. It wasn't as much for me because there's more of like a cleaning aspect to it, but I still loved it regardless. So upon leaving the nanny job, I found a daycare / private school in Bonham and interviewed and realized, like, oh, this is a lot different from anywhere else I've ever been. I got hired on the spot as a transition teacher, which is a 2 to 3 year old teacher, and this place, it's called Morningstar Academy. it goes from infancy to 5th grade, and we're steadily growing, but there is a curriculum that we follow. We teach the kids about social emotional learning. We do Bible. It is a Christian school, as well as, you know, your general curriculum. So that was where I really got my desire, I guess you could say, for teaching. Like, it changed my perspective. Like, oh my goodness, this is life-changing. This is making, like, I can make a huge difference in these kids, you know. But I'll tell you more about that later. Regardless, each of these positions has taught me something different. I've learned new things from each of them, but most importantly, I learned patience. I learned how important it is to take care of these kids and to mold them into, you know, little humans, and specifically at Morning Star, creativity in my teaching. My personal interests, I'm pretty laid back. I like to spend time with my family. My friends and family make fun of me because I'm an old lady and I like to do puzzles and I like to color and do diamond paintings. I would stay home all day every day and just do my little crafts if I could. I call myself a serial hobbyist because I pick up new hobbies and obsess about them. I also have pets. I have a bearded dragon. She is really cool. And I have a dog named Bentley that is just my whole little world. So my motivating factors to becoming a teacher, like I said, I was always kind of drawn to it, but wasn't sure. But I realized at Morning Star, like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I think that it is a calling. It's a choice, obviously, but I think if you are in the right profession in teaching, it's a calling and it's something that you kind of cannot avoid. Like, it's in your heart. So it became very clear to me at Morning Star. This year I have been teaching pre-K 3, which is a lot more like big kid school. And we are learning about letters and the sound that they make and spelling our names, writing our names. And, you know, I've just began seeing the fruits of my labor. Like, oh my goodness, these kids are learning. These kids are retaining this. Like, they're little sponges. They can tell me how to spell their name. They can tell me what sound C makes. Like, it's really eye-opening. So as far as other leadership roles, I feel like I lead my students daily in the classroom as well as parents. You know, I get questions from parents, like advice, you know, about behavior things sometimes. When I worked as a server for a little bit, I would kind of train and help some of the newer people, the new hires. At the in-home daycare, I was running a full-on business on my own, so I feel like that's a very big leadership role. And at Morning Star, I don't think that I am like a huge leader, but I definitely do some leading. Like with the new hires, I help them figure out how to use our planning website, and, you know, I give them some ideas for crafts or, you know, just general advice. As far as currently a leader at Morning Star, I'm always willing to help out wherever I can. I don't really seek anything else out other than my job, but I'm always willing to help and open to new things. This program has definitely improved me as a leader and kind of given me a different perspective on things. So, you know, the classes like leadership theory, organizational development, there are a lot of things that I would have never considered and showed me to be very intentional. So as far as leadership goes, this program has showed me that leadership is a lot about relationships. It's really important to build relationships in leadership and to look at the bigger picture, not just, you know, the tiny things here and there. My approach in the classroom, like, I want to lead by example. I want to exude patience and empathy and consistency, and I want my kiddos to know, like, I am here, I will always be here. And it also made me more confident. As far as myself as a student, I organize my time pretty good. I'm a dedicated student. I am a sponge. Like, I soak things in. I learn things. I love interesting topics. Like, I've been able to get more education classes here lately, and I love that. Like, I'm not interested in data analysis, but I'm very interested in leadership and the history of public education. I've had to really set aside specific time because I do work full-time, and I've had to prioritize my college classes. So, you know, the balance between work, home life, and school can be overwhelming. The challenges that I face personally, I'm a procrastinator sometimes. It's like the getting started that feels impossible, but once I get started, I'm okay. There's obviously other things that I'd rather be doing than schoolwork, but it has to be done, and sometimes, like, I don't have time. How I overcome these issues is I have a drive, I have a push for my career to start my life. I am obviously not a certified teacher, and so I know, like, I have to finish this first. I set timers on my phone, like, okay, I'm gonna work on my school for 30 minutes and then do something that I want to do for 30 minutes. And also at work, my kiddos nap for 2.5 hours, so that gives me a good amount of time to get some schoolwork done. Writing papers has never been a super big struggle for me. English has always been one of my stronger topics. Not necessarily math, but English I have never really struggled with. I took honors in high school. Like I said, it goes back to the procrastination aspect. Like, oh, I really don't want to do this. I don't want to start it. But once I get started, you know, the creative juices start flowing, and I end up being okay. As far as support from instructors, I really like clear expectations and in-depth feedback. So in the past, I've had instructors or teachers that don't give great feedback, so I'm not sure, like, what's the best way for me to correct this. And also, like, the expectations aren't clear. So if I only wrote a 1-page paper but you wanted a 2-page paper, but that wasn't listed anywhere, that's not a clear expectation. I love communication in general, like a professor that responds in a timely manner. Like, obviously I don't expect a response in, you know, 30 minutes, but within 2-3 days is nice. I know that I always have room to grow and improve, and I love learning from you guys, from the pros. I'm new here. I'm just a baby teacher, and I love to hear advice and through your experiences, like, what would work best here. So that's all I have. Thank you, and yeah.